Hey, all you moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, school is starting. And you know what comes when school starts. Yeah, a lot of stress and anxiety and overwhelm and pressure that your kids are going through. And I know this happens at all ages, and I'm hoping to address some of the things that you can do as a parent to help your kids be successful this year despite feeling anxious about school. And let me first talk about why kids get anxious at school. And it's because they feel trapped there. It's 6 hours that they feel like they be out of control, that they have no control over their day. They have to be there, or they have to stay there, or they have to stay in the classroom. And sometimes the mind's idle because school could be a little boring sometimes, and it begins to wander, and sometimes become a little anxious. And with that anxiety, feels so bad and so uncomfortable and feels out of control. And then kids get scared they're going to be trapped in that classroom feeling that feeling, or maybe not just feeling it, getting overwhelmed and exploding and having a big fit in the middle of the classroom, which would be so embarrassing. So kids think that they can't handle that when they view that in their head, that imaginary day that they're going to have with anxiety. They view that in their head and it seems so totally uncomfortable and out of control. They beg and plead to stay home. And they actually make themselves sick. You know, the reason why so many kids who are anxious have stomach aches is that our serotonin's in our gut. You know, that emotional brain is in our gut, and we get affected immediately. We get cramping or sick to our stomach or butterflies or whatever. So now that you know why they get anxious, maybe that'll help you see what you could do about it. And the first thing I would suggest that you do about it is help them feel empowered. So they feel so disempowered by school. But there's a lot of places all the time that we have power, we just don't recognize it right away. All they're seeing is where they're disempowered, and so it might take you or some other adults to help them see where they do have power. Like if they're feeling anxious in the classroom, they might be able to go to the bathroom, or they might be able to seek out an adult that they trust in the school. If your child is anxious, get somebody in the school that they could go to when they're anxious, who could be a little nurturing, who could help them out, someone who knows and can distract them, whatever they need. It's great to have that advocate in school. And the second thing you want to keep in mind is a carrot, that proverbial carrot that motivates people to do something that they don't want to do, right? That carrot. Something that is important to them enough that gets them to override that anxiety. See, when you're feeling anxious or uncomfortable or that you don't want to do something, the priority to satisfy that need, to decrease that feeling that's so uncomfortable, is the top. That is the top priority in your life in that moment. And that top priority says, stay home, don't do anything. You can't do it. You can't do it. So you have to give them something that's important enough to them to override that feeling. So some kids can't leave the house at all, but they could go to a concert of a band that they loved. That kind of thing. It's got to be something so important that it overrides that need to just be comfortable. So give them some kind of motivation. Some kids are just motivated by the fact that they want to do something with their life. They want to go to school, they want to graduate so they could get a good job, so they can make money, they could travel, or they could do the things that they want to do in their life. That might be enough. But in the moment and in that day, it just seems like so far off, and they'll figure that out later. And so it might not be motivating enough. So you might need some kind of thing, some incentive to get them motivated right now. The third thing you could do is have confidence in them. Point out the skills that they have to do things that are hard. The things that they've done in the past that's been hard, but they overcame it and did it. There's lots of examples always for everybody. They finished a book, climbed to the top of the jungle gym, they tried something and they did it, they worked hard at it, they had tenacity in some situation where it was a little bit difficult, but they pushed themselves and they were glad they did. Bring up all of those examples because you want to reflect back that confidence you have in them, that they are going to be okay, that they're going to be able to handle themselves at school and know what to do to get themselves through the day. And if they go to school one day, then you're going to go over that day and point out all the awesome things where they had power, where they had a choice, where they used skills to get themselves through, because you really want to reflect back all of that good stuff. The fourth thing to think about is have them go. Everything we're talking about is about having them go to school. If they end up staying home from school, it is really hard to get them back into school. When kids stay home and there's no consequence, they just could go the next day and go the next day and go the next day. Kids get the idea, not consciously, but they get the idea that school is an option. Most kids know that school's not an option. They have to go. But some kids get the idea that school's an option. They wouldn't say that to you, but they understand it that way, that they could decide whether they go or not. If they've stayed home because they were anxious, they all get that idea and it stops them from going. Even if they want to go back, it is so hard to go back because they could just do it the next day or the next day or the next day, and it's just hard to get back in the door. The best thing to get over school anxiety is to go, because when we have anxiety about something, it feels so scary. And when we start to do it, it becomes familiar and not so scary, and we usually get over that anxiety. The fifth thing to think about is tests. A lot of kids have test anxiety about taking tests and performing on tests. Even kids who don't care about their grades so much are panicked about not doing well on tests. And that's kind of incongruent, so you want to point that out. Some kids really care about their grades and get panicked about tests. And so we have to decrease some of that pressure that they have over themselves. It's better for them to feel good and do their best than to panic about the test and not perform because they're panicking. And a lot of times when we have all this work to do, we get so freaked out and stressed about all the work we have to do. And we worry about, okay, can I get it done? Can I get it done? Can I get it done? And once we sit down to do it, we're exhausted. It's like we did it 10 times already or 50 times already. And we don't have the energy to do it then. If we just didn't worry about our work at all and just sat down to do it, you have all of that energy to actually do it. This is what we want our kids to know. I hope you like this episode. I hope it served you. If you like it, please share it around so other parents are helped in the same way. And then come on over to my website, jodiamon.com, for tons more videos on how to open your heart and love yourself. And while you're there, sign up for email updates so you don't miss a thing. And in the meantime, let that you that you want to be shine through. It is how kids think about fear that matters most to their mental state. If your child thinks feeling anxious is the worst feeling in the world, it will be the worst feeling in the world.